So I was taking a look at all the things that we have on the walls here, and I realized, I really was brought up in a very conservative household. And my husband and I have always been very conservative type people. And to me, I think nowadays the word liberal and conservative, they're starting to get a little bit lost into what they used to mean. And I still think of them the way I was taught them by my dad back in the 70s and the 80s, which is that you are preserving and conserving your faith, your way of life, and your freedoms, your individualism. And my husband and I, we've always owned property. My dad believed in having property and owning property, and that's part of the old school set of conservatism. That should be independent and be able to provide for ourselves without assistance from the government or other people. And that's always been part of our family history, and everybody has this strong sense of independence, I guess you should say, and business-minded type people. And lately, it seems like conservative and liberal has started kind of crossing over and getting mixed together as far as what you're seeing in the media. And it seems like now people are confusing what is conservative together with what is inclusive or not inclusive. So nowadays it seems like if you say you're liberal, it used to mean back when I was a child, liberal pretty much meant, okay, well, you believe that the farmers should get assistance from the government. Because the Democrats back then, like the Jimmy Carter type Democrats, they were all for giving the farmers subsidies. But the Republicans, the conservatives, they thought that the farmers should just be able to save up their money and do it on their own and not get assistance from the government. So it was basically farmers versus other people, and the farmers were considered the liberals, even though they were in a lifestyle, they were lifestyle conservative, but fiscally, in other words, with their money, they were considered liberal. But today, no one really thinks about it like that. They think that if you are inclusive of other people, in other words, you are willing to have friends that are of a different race than yourself or of a different sexual orientation than yourself, then you must be a liberal. And if you are exclusive, in other words, you do not want to mix with other races or have friends that are have a different sexual orientation, then you must be conservative. So I was thinking about that, and I was like, well, what am I then? Am I liberal or am I conservative? Because I believe all the things the conservatives think about, except for this one thing, and that is inclusiveness. I don't believe that people should be, especially in America, we've always been a melting pot. If you look back at each and every one of our family history, we're full of German, English, Irish, Indian, Hispanic cultures, black, everybody from all over the world. We're all kind of mixed together into this big melting pot. So how do we have an America that is not inclusive? We would have to be not inclusive to ourselves. That would be kind of hard to do, I would think. So I was thinking, well, how does this go back to my conservatism? How can I say that, well, that I'm conservative and I can still be inclusive? And I started thinking, well, what really makes me conservative? And what makes me conservative is that I am a firm believer in the way of Jesus Christ. I believe Jesus Christ died for my sins, and He is our only way to true peace, happiness, and salvation and everything else. He's the only purpose for anything that we do is Jesus Christ. And I cannot think of anyone that was more inclusive than Jesus Christ. He came and He saved all of us that believed. He didn't say, okay, well, let me think. Only ones that look like this, I'm going to save them. He said, all of those who believe in me will have everlasting life. So I still believe that I'm conservative, and I believe that Jesus Christ is liberally conservative, because he was inclusive of all of us. He loves everyone. And that was really the only thing that he gave us. He took away, we have the Ten Commandments up here on the wall, but he condensed them all down into one commandment. And if you literally look at all the Ten Commandments, they all boil down to one thing, and that is love. So he said, okay, forget about all of these little laws that I did before. We're going to shrink them down, and we're going to make them one gigantic, which is almost impossible to do, law. I added that part, which is to love one another. So I don't know how we're going to be conservative and exclusive and still follow our Lord Jesus Christ, who included me and David and all of us in this big, huge, giant hug of love. So